If you're interested in the Toyota Camry or the Prius, you're either down to earth or you're being forced against your will to drive something sensible. If you blinked twice just now, the new Prius might be a pleasant surprise. It handles far better than any previous model. It's got good passing power. Maybe it was more versatile in the past, but it still has enough space for families, thanks in part to the hatchback design. And in my opinion, unlike any prior model, this has genuine charisma. If you've been lusting after dadmobiles for a while now, the new Camry might be the attainable home run you've been seeking. There's a huge back seat, it gets near Prius levels of efficiency. For 2025, it's fresh inside and out, and you're getting a lot of car for the money. Additionally, both of these cars offer all-wheel drive on every trim, so I'd say they largely satisfy the same needs. And the kicker is, with similar equipment, the prices can be identical. The Prius invests more into swagger. The result is originality. The body lines, the lighting, the curves. When I had one for a week, people were genuinely surprised when I told them it was a Prius. Whereas the Camry looks undeniably Camry. It's a conservative design, but a good one nonetheless. And I think the body kit of the SE also works in its favor. Let me know what you guys think. Briefly, if you enjoy fun, detailed car content, consider subscribing and hitting the bell for notifications. Thank you. I'd also like to thank the kind people over at Royal South Toyota in Bloomington, Indiana for letting me test drive the cars here today. Royal is devoted to the community. If you're looking for a Camry or Prius, check them out. And while the features are similar on the low end, there's a lot of nuanced differences that I will not bore you with today. Just know this, the sedan puts more focus on amenities. And because of the sales volume, the Camry is able to give you more choices in your features. Each have LED lighting and alloys of some sort, each have an available 360 view camera, and you can rock 19-inch wheels on either if you'd like. The differences stack up more on the inside. Starting in the back, you have more usable cargo space with the Camry with all seats in place. The mobster-friendly trunk even makes room for a spare tire. The Prius makes do with just a fix-a-flat kit. And while it is a hatchback and you'll have more flexibility with bulky items, the height of it is unimpressive due to that sloping design. And the back seat of the Camry confirms a real-world practicality advantage over the Prius. At 6'3", I could be lounging up front and still fit behind myself. The seats have a decent amount of support, and I have standard rear console vents, something you won't find on any Prius. Up front, the Camry showcases some of the best traits of the latest Toyotas. There's a modern layout with some nice looking materials. Maybe not the most expensive stuff, but I do like the texture, and there's soft touch materials where they need to be. The physical controls give off a premium feel. There's standard wireless CarPlay, the 8 or 12-inch screens are responsive enough with the stripped down UI, and I think Toyota has improved the ergonomics over the previous car too. The seats in the SE are firm, but offer good support. And I'm able to find a great driving position. I think the steering wheel for tall people, it can come out pretty far, so I can sit as far back as I want. And this still has the functionality you would expect from the biggest name in family sedans. You got a standard sunglasses holder, good storage in the center and in the doors, along with good visibility. As far as equipment goes, just like the Prius, you'll find available lumbar adjustment, heated and ventilated front seats, a heated steering wheel, Softex upholstery, and a JBL sound system. But the Camry goes the extra mile. The JBL setup in this gains a subwoofer. You have standard dual zone climate control here that's unavailable with the Prius. You can get a head-up display, and you can get a sunroof or a panoramic sunroof. Funny enough, the Prius can get a fixed glass roof, but it can't get anything that actually opens up. Maybe this is down on tricks, but the high trims are cheaper as a result, and this has vibes like no other. The long dashboard, the layout, and the funky wheel make this feel like a Japanese spaceship, but at the same time it doesn't overcomplicate anything. You have the same style of controls, the funky shifter is quick and easy to use, and you also have plenty of storage here. The materials are fine. They're plush where your elbows would rest. The seat cushioning is a little softer. And in here, I can also find a good driving position, even if I think I'm down on thigh support when compared to the Camry. You'll also have worse visibility. Like I said, that dashboard is really long, which gives it a cool look, but it does make it harder to see out of. Same goes with the view around back. Also, the functionality of the gauge cluster screen is limited compared to its brother, and depending on where you sit, it might get blocked out by part of the steering wheel. You also sit considerably lower in here, so getting in and out of it is more difficult. I don't think there are many flaws in here that on their own are deal breakers, yet they all add up to make a car that is more polarizing. And with less rear legroom and headroom, it's certainly a usable back seat. It's just not going to stack up to a midsize. The Prius seems to be taking L's left and right in our comparison, but on the road, it fights back. 194 horsepower and a 3,100 pound curb weight help this feel relatively athletic. Under the hood, you'll have Toyota's proven 2-liter inline-4 paired up with their 5th generation hybrid. This means that every Prius will have a permanent magnet motor up front, making 111 horsepower, and that gives you good response at a low speed. This setup will get you to 60 in the low 7-second range according to my tests. Getting the power to the ground is Toyota's eCVT, which continues to impress. It gives you linear acceleration from a stop, and then it uses a separate electric motor to change the ratio of the engine. It reacts in a timely manner and gives you mostly relaxed acceleration. It's not as engaging as some new hybrids that really try to mimic a traditional gearbox or feature real gears. This is geared more for efficiency, and that it does pretty well. The EPA rates the LE in the mid-50s, and a lot of people report that it can get even more miles per gallon. The bigger wheels of the higher trims and the all-wheel drive models do hurt those numbers a little bit. For the most dedicated of environmentalists, you can go with the Prius plug-in, which gives you an all-EV range of up to 44 miles. It improves the performance of this. It gives you more of that instantaneous torque like an EV, and then the engine is there really just to help out. It does cost a decent amount more, but that's an option that you get with the Prius that you won't find with the Camry. Just remember that one is front-wheel drive only. Here, I can get all-wheel drive, which simply adds a 40 horsepower motor to the rear axle. You'll get the same option with the same amount of power in the Camry. This is not something that gives you an off-road mode. That's not the point of it. It's purely for inclement weather, getting you through some snow, and for that, it does seem to work pretty well. And on a back road, the new Prius is agile. First, the steering is precise. It feels quick and somewhat eager to change direction. Body roll is also much more well kept than I was expecting. Even as I hit speeds of 60 miles per hour or so, it stays planted. And I also like how the steering is weighted, especially in sport mode. It firms up nicely, builds up a little bit. There's just a hint of feedback. I won't say that I'm having a blast. The experience is just a little too numb for that. But is it mildly entertaining? Yeah. Without having a stiff handling focused suspension, this does feel light on its feet. For a commuter hatchback, I think this strikes a nice balance between telling me what the road surface is like and transmitting every last crevice and crack into the cabin. It's smooth, controlled, and forgiving on most roads. But whether you're driving over torn up pavement or the interstate, if you're looking for maximum isolation for the money, this might not satisfy. At highway speeds, road and wind noise are both pronounced, but as far as a compact goes, it's alright. Here's what the sound meter has to say. And according to the testing equipment, the new Camry is a few decibels quieter, which might not sound like a lot, but it does make a big difference. On a bruised and tattered road, you feel less of the pavement with the Camry. It still gives you a nice sense of control over imperfect corners, and it does that while being a little more forgiving no matter what trim you choose. This is just a better cruiser. It's also a slightly more speedy one. 60 miles per hour usually comes up a hair below 7 seconds. The flat-out performance of a car like this doesn't really matter a whole lot, but how it reacts to throttle inputs does. And that's where I'm really impressed with this new Camry. The reaction here is notably quicker. It feels like it has a lot more torque and just requires less effort than the Prius. But why is that? I mean, this does weigh 350 pounds more, which kind of cancels out the power advantage. This thing makes 225 horsepower with front-wheel drive. You'll find Toyota's 2.5-liter engine here, but what I think makes a bigger difference is the more powerful motor. You get like 23 additional electric ponies. And for whatever reason, the way it's tuned here, you feel much more of that. And this immediate response really doesn't come at the cost of gas mileage. This still manages, in LE form at least, over 50 miles per gallon. Here with the larger wheels, you're also going to see slightly lower numbers. Around corners, the SE improves body control over the LE with its slightly more firm suspension setup. I'm pleased with the handling of any new Camry. However, the steering here is notably slower. The front end doesn't feel as sharp. It's just slower to react. It's also a little more numb, and it doesn't feel quite as accurate as the Prius. Don't get me wrong, this is still a very easy car to drive. I like how the steering is weighted. It does still feel sure-footed when the corners aren't perfect. But without a doubt, the Prius is more fun. It's the chuckable hatch alternative to this, and I really have never expected myself to say such a thing. When it comes to reliability, both of these are pretty new models, but they come with engines that have been around in much of Toyota's lineup for now at least 5 years. While the 2.5-liter has had growing reports of a problematic coolant bypass valve, overall most owners of these engines have been really happy with them. Toyota's hybrid batteries typically last 12 to 15 years before you might want to think about replacing them. We'll talk more about the reliability of these when they've been around for a few more years, but I'd really have no problem recommending either to those that highly prioritize longevity. These are proving to be safe too, but the new Camry does score a little better in the updated crash tests. Both of them come with all of Toyota's latest active safety tech, including blind spot monitoring. However, with the most exclusive Camrys and all Prius Primes, you can get Toyota's traffic jam assist, which can take over the steering and the pedals when you're stuck on the highway going below 25 miles per hour. However, do note that system has to watch your face, and sometimes it loses your face and gets very frustrated with you. That also comes with Toyota's front cross traffic alert, which tends to freak out, so I would avoid that if you want the least amount of beeping. While this statement might make me lose some respect from car enthusiasts, there's a special place in my heart for the Prius. It's flawed, but it's authentic. Despite being a great commuter car, it's not trying to be a bestseller. In a lot of ways, they tended to compromise on function rather than form. And there's a good reason for this change in the Prius philosophy. If you just want sensible transportation, Toyota already builds several affordable, efficient hybrids in various shapes. After driving these two back-to-back, the winner for most people is clear. The Toyota Camry is more comfortable. It feels more potent with only a modest hit in efficiency. It's more practical in most scenarios. It offers more configurations, more features, and doesn't really demand a price jump. As a car fanatic who already owns a fun ride, if I were to add another vehicle to my metaphorical garage, my choice would be the Camry. I always hope Toyota builds a car like the Prius. Not everyone is looking for volume-selling characteristics or a vehicle that's just highly agreeable. The Prius is a car that still makes a ton of financial sense, but has a little soul. There's precise handling, distinct but tasteful styling, and an interior that makes you feel like you're driving something more special than an efficient hatchback. If you want some flavor of sport compact, but the responsibilities of life demand something much more rational, then the new Camry is no match for the Prius. Thanks for watching, and thank you to my channel members for helping me elevate my videos. Consider joining for additional content. I'll catch you in the next one.